Sam Darnold could be leading the New York Jets for the next decade plus. He is that rarest of commodities. He is a franchise quarterback. The New York Giants are trotting out, for the umpteenth year, average quarterback play. Eli has been average outside of 2 Super Bowl runs. What you can count on year in, year out from Eli is average quarterback play. And by the way, that's the best case scenario. You line up Saquon Barkley behind average quarterback play is your rosy picture, Max, because in 2 or 3 years after Eli turns 39 or 40 and he retires, you're lining up Saquon Barkley behind Davis Webb or Kyle Lauletta or some unnamed college quarterback that you hope to land in the future. If you're going to come out here and try to argue Kyle Lauletta, we ought to go ahead and go to commercial break and give me the W. The truth of the matter is, those are your scenarios. You could have either had a probable franchise quarterback for a decade, or Saquon Barkley behind average at best quarterback play for 5 to 6 years. You once again, like you did in the top of the show, you had your eyes on a short-term window and sacrificed your long-term future.
Either short-term or long-term, actually, the answer is Saquon Barkley. Sam Darnold was a very good quarterback prospect. There are quarterback prospects like him in every single draft. Even if the Giants, it works out or it doesn't work out. And in 2 or 3 years, Eli's no longer the answer, and as a result, they're not a good team, so they have a good draft pick. They are likely to find a Sam Darnold in any given draft. He's really good. They're really good quarterbacks most years. That's number one. Well, it's not. If it's so easily, if Sam Darnold was so clearly and obviously the number 1 pick, why didn't he go number 1? He went number 3, and I wouldn't have taken him number 1. I think Cleveland made the right decision. I think so do you think Cleveland made the right decision. So there are quarterbacks like Carson Wentz came out recently. Goff looks pretty. Like there are quarterbacks. If you're drafting up high, you have a good shot to find a good quarterback. I wouldn't say Sam Darnold stood out even among recent years' top quarterback picks, and he wasn't even the top 1. That's number 1. Number 2, Saquon Barkley is a better running back than Sam Darnold is a quarterback. He was the best available football player, period, in this draft. He could be a generational player. Certainly, he's at least a generational prospect. Number 3, there is great wisdom, in fact. I think we're seeing it increasingly in the NFL, why you should draft a difference-making running back. I know most of the time you can approximate that production later in the draft, but if there's a special running back who can catch passes, help block at the line, run unlike anything anyone's ever seen in terms of his speed, changing direction, strength, size, etc., and he carries himself like a franchise quarterback. When you get a premium at that position, you know what happens, Will? He's 21 years old. Next 4 years, you got him under a rookie contract. By the time he's 25, and we've seen this with Le'Veon Bell, by the way, who wasn't even a first-round pick, but by the time he's 25, you can franchise him. You can franchise him again. You can franchise him again. Never invest big long-term money in him. And by the time you're ready to give him the contract, he's 28 years old, and you don't have to give him a huge bonus because the idea is he's not going to be an elite producer going forward. Meantime, these running backs hit the ground running, so to speak. They're basically in their prime from year 1. So instead of waiting to develop a quarterback who may or may not work out, you can get elite production for 7 or 8 years, never really have to pay for it. That works.
All right, good deal here. You set yourself up so well. You've run into so many cul-de-sacs. I think it's approximately 3. Let me close you in. First of all, this idea that you're going to just grab a quarterback. If it doesn't work out with Eli, you're just going to grab a quarterback at the top of the draft, just any old year, grab a Sam Darnold or a Carson Wentz. Easy, just draft high. You know very well that's nonsense. The miss rate, the bust rate on quarterbacks, even in the top 10, is about 50%. You are 50% likely to end up with a Jamarcus Russell as you are a Carson Wentz. I happen to think Sam Darnold's on the right side of that 50% equation, and you just passed on what is the most important thing to have in all of football.
Sure? Hold on, but that's not the argument.
No. Let me close
Wait,
in your cul-de-sacs.
let's just do these cul-de-sacs one at a time. Let's just do them one at a time. I'll give them right back. So, okay, fine, but that's not the argument. The argument was Sam Darnold. Is he so easy to identify compared to most years' top quarterbacks? And if so, why wouldn't you take him first?
You've got a guy that I think everybody believes is on the right side of that 50% ratio. He's not going to be a bust. And that brings me to the second cul-de-sac, which is you said this. They said that Saquon Barkley is a better running back, that Sam Darnold is a quarterback. You know what? You're right, and it doesn't matter. because the positional importance of quarterback is so much bigger than running back. If Sam Darnold, in his career, only ever proves out to be an average quarterback, guess what? An average quarterback in the NFL is more valuable than the best running back in the NFL. And here's why it's cul-de-sac number 3. The golden ticket in the NFL, the best thing you can get is a quarterback who's underpaid, a quarterback on a rookie contract. You've talked about it. I've talked about it. We all know. The Seahawks with Russell Wilson, the Eagles with Carson Wentz, the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. It gives you money to spread around to the rest of your team. Not the same kind as, by the way, having a running back on a rookie
Let's
quarterback.
do that. We don't have a lot of time, Will. We don't have a lot of time. Let me answer those right away. Okay. Le'Veon Bell has been more valuable to that offense than many average quarterbacks have been to their offense. So I disagree with that notion, number one. Number two, so if you have a special running back, a guy who may be the best in the game, maybe by a measure, that is different than just having a good running back or even an average quarterback. Two, it usually takes a quarterback a couple of years to get going. By the time he gets going, you're on the verge of having to pay him real money. As you said, what's so valuable? The low-wage quarterback that is unlikely to be a Sam Darnold for very long if he pans out. It might take him a year or two to get going, and then you have to pay him, and you have to pay him for a while. Then the question is, does he have it? So will he be a Kirk Cousins so far, a guy who can give you stats but not lead you to the promised land necessarily, or even just like a good quarterback, but a guy who is available in every draft, one or two of those guys. And finally, Sam Darnold was identifiable as a high floor kind of prospect. But are you so sure still that he's an amazing ceiling guy, that he will live up to that?